All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and non binaries alike, intergalactic time travelers, whatever you wish to call yourselves, so be it. 5/28, 2022. We're looking at 3:25 West Coast time. And I just kind of wanted to talk briefly about a few more things that have come to light regarding the recent shootings, massacres, and violence. I guess primarily just this last one, but I've been going through. There's some information that's kind of come to light on the Buffalo situation with that kid up there. With some interaction with some federal agents. Now, I don't know with any of this stuff that we're going through. We don't know if it's valid. It seems to be changing, seems to be very liquid. As Governor Abbott put into words, that he was livid because he was lied to. So we've already got on record a police accountability. Well, they need to be held accountable, but we've got a confession now and a recorrection of the timeline, at least once, maybe a couple of times, but they're saying clearly now that the story is completely changed, and some things have come to light in both scenarios. So I just wanted to briefly here with the Pocket Astro just do a heads up on that Venus went into Taurus, more of that grounding earth energy, which I think will actually be good. It's been Venus, the goddess of love, has been in Aries, along with some other heavy hitters. Jupiter coming in, Aries, me first, me, all these heavy hitters in our solar system, in our cosmos, if you will, right here. All me first, horned earth creatures coming in with a pow. So, and that really, I do believe that energy, it's not the cause, but it certainly is a contributing factor. So, there's a couple of things that don't hit you. There's nothing that hits you harder, I guess I should rephrase it, than when you've got tragedy of violent massacre of children, of young people and youth. And you don't even have to have children to feel that, but when you do have children, and you've done those drop-offs at the school, and you've done the pickup process. There's a whole process with pickups at schools. Most people are totally unaware of that unless you're a parent. And I battled that a couple years back before the corona with my drop-offs and pickups of my daughter in the 3rd grade, who would now be technically the 5th. And this scenario that went down in Texas, massacre scenario, was 4th graders. So we're dealing with children that are my daughter's age. These would be her associates, if not her classmates, if not schoolmates, if she wasn't in that classroom. That appears to be just randomly focused, or a window or a door ajar with a plastic bottle afoot, of random type of randomness is what it appears at this point. So, a couple of things just briefly here is that I think the truth is probably somewhere right down the middle, and the truth to the best path of how to proceed forward is probably somewhere down the middle. You've got opposing viewpoints, and I find some of this most common, same tired kind of diatribe that comes from both sides of these arguments, the gun argument, the gun control arguments, if you will, and there's holes in both. So, right off the bat, one that really stood out to me was talking about hardening schools, which is like securing the perimeter of the school. I mean, that's the other thing with this. They said we have shootings every single weekend in Chicago. There was 33 people killed last weekend, just last weekend in Chicago. This stuff flies under the radar, but it's really, I was like, why is this one why is this being elevated and promoted? Well, of course it has to do with guns, which is a trigger, no pun intended, on the left dramatically, especially during midterms, right? The political timing of this is notable. But I lost my stream there, train of conscious. The left is using actually the GOP is saying let's arm, harden, protect the schools, defend the schools. That's why this is such a pressing issue, is because of that school is an institution of security. Parents want to believe, wish to believe, wouldn't drop their children off at that public school. At any public school, if they didn't believe the institute had some level of security to secure the perimeter, if you will. And that's what makes the school mass shootings so tragic and strikes such a nerve for everyone, especially the parents, and grandparents, any of the families that have got young people in the public school system. It triggers a lot of emotions, triggers a lot of anxiety, triggers a lot of PTSD from previous scenarios, deaths and passings of people in their family. Doesn't have to be a gun injury or a gun battle, a passing in the family or in one's extended bubble, friends that they consider family, if you will. It triggers these type of feelings of a loss. And with the school scenario they're talking about, well, we got to arm the teachers. That's what I was getting at. We got to arm the teachers. Teachers need to be armed. We need to have, one guy said, I think it was a senator, said that there needed to be police officers in uniform with AR-10s, AR-15s on their back, visible as they walk through the halls. I don't think that's going to solve the scenario and the situation, because you can have students that are in on the inside, they go there and they're snapping. And we've seen this in many other scenarios, unfortunately, where the students who actually belong there are snapping. They would clearly have backpacks or locker access, and there wouldn't be this stranger danger of an outside AR situation coming into the school. So arming the teachers. Now, isn't that remarkable to hear from the same group of people that have been calling the green-haired groomers, the teachers are the groomers, green-haired lunatics, they now should be armed in the classroom, shooting other teens they deem a threat? Someone else's student is who they're deeming a threat. Not a good idea, guys. Not a good idea. It's turning the schools into a prison is one thing. Having teachers that are, I'm hardly even trusting them without a weapon. I don't think I really am trusting them at all with them being around, interacting with my daughter, my student at the school. But then you throw in that they're armed? Hell no. Hell no. We ain't dropping off and picking up at that school no more. I think there'll be a lot of parents that are going to feel like that. That, to me, is not going to be the solution for the win. We don't trust teachers anymore. We don't trust the schools anymore. We don't trust the governments anymore. We're not trusting the police forces anymore. We're seeing a fundamental, systematic breakdown of trust of the government and the ordinary life of ordinary citizens. And this is very, very dangerous. This is what's going to put us in a mass casualty situation, much more to come. I mean, I don't want to sound morbid and doomsayer, but it's pretty obvious that we've got the right formula and the right recipe in this country with the wrong de-escalation and wrong political players in Congress to even diplomatically the stressors out, if you will. I have no faith that Congress is going to even out the stress and discussion as we escalate towards civil war. Let me be blunt. This looks a lot like civil war in the streets, in our schools, right now. And that's only going to escalate, isn't it? So we have to think about how do we proceed with securing the perimeter of our schools. The public school system is in decay. We need those doors not to be propped open. We need them to be locked. Do we need the doors to be metal doors? Apparently, this kid, Ramos, shot through the doors. The doors were locked. He shot through the doors. Have heartbreaking testimony from children, daughters, young people, young women, the age of my daughter, 10 and 11, calling into 911 saying, I hear him. I hear officers outside the door. Can you send them in now? Send them in now, please. Send them in right away. He's shooting through the door now. All of this audio back and forth is recorded and sitting there. And at some point, I'll listen to it and I'll probably cry. Just reading that transcript of that interaction made me well up. I mean, it's unbelievable that this girl, this is why I got a second cell phone for my daughter in case of an emergency. You call me at school, dropping you off. I don't know what the hell's going on. I can't see you. I'm blocks away. Call me. You hear that emergency phone calls. You hear these coming in. Or I haven't heard it, but the transcript recorded and intercepted, of course. Everything to 911 is recorded in a transcript. But as I'm reading it, I can hear that soft whispering voice. I think he's outside. I hear him outside. I hear him outside the door. I mean, this is unbelievable. And you've got 10, 15, 19 police in the hallway, ordered stand down, waiting for keys to get into the classroom. And then what's happening out here with the parents' rights? What's happening? This is a perfect social commentary of what's happening outside of this classroom, right out front with the pickup. The parents coming with their pickup of their students. We see parents losing their mind. We see videos of them demanding to go in. We see police pepper spraying parents concerned why their students are left in the classroom with no one getting them. We see parents cuffed in front of the school after being pepper sprayed by the police who should be in there putting rounds into a psychopath's head. They're out front tackling the parents in front of the school. One of the mothers, this is again, as I said from the beginning, it's not confirmed. These are stories and reports that are coming out. This is a liquid situation. One of the mothers was in cuffs at some point. I don't know how she got out of the cuffs or if an officer said, okay, go home. You know, I'll take in these cuffs off, get out of here. Let us take care of it. I don't know exactly how she got out of those cuffs. The story is one of the mothers was in cuffs, was out of cuffs, went around the backside and broke her children out of that school. She rescued her children, went in to that situation that armed with badges police did not do. Too nervous. Stand down. Stay back. This is scary. He's got a gun. They didn't have the cojones as paid police officers to go in there and put some rounds in Ramos. She did. That's the courage of a mother. It's difficult to think that she had more courage than those police officers with weapons. But let me read this. "12:19, another girl in room 111 calls 911 and ends the call when a fellow student tells her to hang up. 12:21, Ramos fires his gun again and officers believe it's at the door of the adjoining classrooms. Police move down the hallway." They're just in the hallway, listening to rounds go off. 12:21, 3 shots can be heard during a 911 call. All of this audio of these interactions will come to light to be heard by the public. And you can believe it will. Everybody wants that to be public. Around this time, police are stuck in the hallway because both classroom doors are locked and they must seek keys. They need keys from a school employee. Really? Police don't know how to get through doors? A no-knock search warrant? They sure get in those doors real quick on a no-knock raid, don't they? They know how to do that. There's been a lot of training for that one. Now with these guys, they need keys as the shooter, active shooter, fires rounds off as they're in the hallway. 12:36, a child calls 911. 12:36 p.m., a child calls 911 for 21 seconds. Around this time, a girl calls 911 and it's told to stay on the line and stay very quiet. Stay on the line, stay very quiet. The girl says, "He shot the door." He shot the door. 12:43, the girl urges the 911 dispatcher to please send the police now. Please send the police now. They're outside in the fucking hallway. 12:46, the girl says she can hear the police next door. She again asks, please send the police now. 12:50, officers open the doors. Those are going to be the hardest 911 calls to listen to. It is hard enough to read. But this is from Yahoo News. This is back on the debate. Back and forth. We do not take a preventive approach, Middleton said. This is a professor of mental health department at Johns Hopkins. We don't do it enough in school settings where we can provide critical needed care to young people. And we lack cultural competent care. Cultural competent care. Like, for example, Spanish-speaking therapists. You're going to need Spanish-speaking therapists. They don't have Spanish-speaking therapists in a town that's 85% Latino. On Tuesday, after learning about the Texas massacre, Senator Chris Murphy, a Democrat from Connecticut, pleaded with his Republican colleagues to ditch the old excuses. Quote, "Spare me the bullshit about mental illness," Murphy said. "We don't have any more mental illness than any other country in the world." Quote, "You cannot explain this through a prism of mental illness." End quote. This is Murphy. This is Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat from Connecticut. This is the tone. This is the direction. This is their argument. This is how they're doing their cross-examination. Don't tell me about mental illness. Mental illness isn't a problem. Mental illness isn't an issue. This is about guns and only guns. And the only way we can solve any of this violence anywhere is to try to seize and confiscate as many guns as we can possibly get. And then there'll be peace. This is the theory. This is the Democrats' line of thinking. This is why it's never gone anywhere and won't go anywhere now without serious modifications and getting real about mental health in America, mental health with our teens, mental health suffering from pandemic psychosis, I call it. It's a working theory. It's a working hypothesis. Pandemic psychosis. This is all of this behavior, death and suicides, drug overdose, all of this behavior that we're seeing at levels we've never seen at this level before. Historical highs of everything that's bad and unhealthy for our youth and population as a whole, but we're focusing about the youth numbers and data and how they were affected with being jerked around with life and death scenarios, jerked out of schools, told they're going to die if they went to school. They're told that they're going to go back into the home and bring viruses to kill their family. They're going to kill grandma. They're going to kill grandpa. It's going to get spread. Mask up. Save grandma. Meanwhile, you've got these operatives that are literally doing mass murder of the elderly in New York, like Governor Cuomo, and the whole team and bubble around him that covered his ass. Taking sick elderly and sending them back into their group community living facilities